July 25th, 2024, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. All right. First, call to order, please.
Yes, it's going to be Ishmael Harris.
Here.
Ashley Henson is not here. David Barrow.
Here.
Gary Moss.
Here.
Jordan Scott.
Here.
Patrice Parsons is not here. Keith Alborn.
Here.
And Joshua Bingaman is also not here.
All right. Thank you, Alondra. Appreciate it. All right. On to citizen comments, and we do not have any currently at this time. No one new has walked in, so we'll get past that. On to item 3A, items for individual consideration. 3A, consider action to approve meeting minutes from the March 28, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
There's actually a correction. It's the May 30th, not March 28th. The date got transferred over.
Okay, so the May 30th, 2024 Planning and Zoning
Yes, sir.
meeting. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we call for roll, please?
Yes, Ishmael Harris.
Yes.
David Barrow.
Yes.
Gary Moss.
Yes.
Jordan Scott.
Yes.
Keith Alborn.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, on to item 3B. Consider action to approve the Valverde Amenity Center final plat being 3.554 acres out of the Nancy Blakey Survey Abstract Number 98, located west of FM 969 within the city of Bastrop, Texas, as shown in Attachment 1. Ms. Kennedy.
Good evening, Commission. Thank you. This first item that we have for you tonight is the Valverde Amenity Center final plat. In the packet, the site plan was submitted instead of the plat. It has been updated. You have the plat in front of you in the packet. So you can see the location here. It's located in the Valverde subdivision, previously Viridian. It's west of 969. Pardon me. It's a single lot development that will be used for an amenity center. This lot is 3.54 acres, and the development conforms with the Viridian/Valverde DA agreement as currently approved. The improvements to serve this lot are a part of the Phase 1 improvements that have been previously approved. The main access to this lot will be off of 969, and it will be on a street named Boca Chica Street. Water and wastewater will be served via line extensions, just as the rest of the development. This lot has a proposed impervious cover of 22%, which is in line with the overall Valverde DA. Pardon me. The existing drainage patterns and flows will be maintained as they currently exist today. And when it comes to trees, the developer has stated that they will not be clear cutting the entire site and replanting. Their plan is to just selectively cut what they need to in order to build the amenity center and leave the remainder of the large hardwoods intact. Here you can see a copy of the final plat as it is proposed. Does the commission have any questions?
I got a question. So with the 22% impervious cover, is the center going to be obviously less than that 22% of the 3 acres?
The what, sorry?
The center, the actual amenity center is going to be less than that? Okay, cool. So it's all pretty straightforward, right? This is just a center. Will the public have access to it outside of the neighborhood, or is this a private?
I believe it might be private. Do we have Brian on the phone? So the developer couldn't be here tonight, but we do have him on the phone to answer questions. Okay, so he said it will just be for the residents of Valverde.
And how many residents are part of that Valverde subdivision?
The subdivision as a whole, or just the first couple sections?
This section that has access to the amenity center.
So the entire 300 acres.
Okay, great. So, I mean, obviously, allowing public access to it would be important, but at least these people have some sort of place to go, be in nature, et cetera, and having them not cut down the trees is a very important thing. So thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion to consider and approve as written.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Moss and Commissioner Barrow. Can we call for roll, please?
Ishmael Harris,
Yes.
David Barrow,
Yes.
Gary Moss,
Yes.
Jordan Scott,
Yes.
Keith Alborn.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. It passes unanimous. On to item 3C. Okay. Consider action to approve Burleson Crossing East final plat being 19.81 acres is situated in the Nancy Blakey Survey, abstract number 98, located on the northeast corner of State Highway 71 and Edward Burleson Drive within the city limits of Bastrop, Texas, as shown in the 1. Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you. So this next item is the final plat for Burleson Crossing East Development. You can see here the location. It is north of Highway 71, between Ed Burleson and the future Blakey Road up to the top. The development has an approved PDD that was approved back in September, to which this plat complies with the regulations of. The final plat calls for 10 commercial lots with associated improvements. You can see here in the center, Lot 6 will be the private drive that will act as a public road, and it will connect to Wagon Wheel on the side of the development. The maximum impervious cover for the entire site is 85% per the PDD. This allows flexibility for one lot to have greater impervious cover as long as it is offset by another lot that has less impervious cover. The entire development cannot have more than 85% impervious cover. Water and wastewater will be served via line extensions from the existing infrastructure on Ed Burleson Lane. And this development will be commercial. Right. Any questions? We also do have the developer here if you have any questions for them. The developer here.
Yeah, we will talk to you. I got one question.
If you want to come up and introduce yourself.
Yeah. I just got one question. Can I go home and tell my wife there's gonna be a grocery store there?
There's gonna
Or
be.
just-
I can do that?
I have Sprouse's lease on my desk.
Do you?
I gotta get the site development permit.
Cool.
So,
Good deal.
All right.
I don't-
I know we all up here. Real quick though, sir.
Steve,
I know I've asked this before, but again, just in case those who are watching and may not know who you are, right, can you please, I know we know, but can you please speak in the mic and introduce yourself?
yes, I'm Steve Durman. I live in Austin, Texas, developer for the shopping center. Own Burleson Crossing next door. This is gonna be a lot like that, just the 19 acres. We have the first phase all leased out. Second phase is getting there. So that's Wagon Wheel is kind of the dividing line. So we're set to go. We're also going to expand it with Burleson to get another left turn lane when we do this. So yes.
cool.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say thank you for one thing, also for giving us the easement up there at the top to do
Yes,
Blakey.
for Blakey.
Thank you, thank you. That's gonna be big for us.
The Blakey, when we did the traffic impact study,
Can
it
you
was
speak in the mic, please?
when we did the traffic impact study for all this, what we found is that intersection is a problem. You know, we love it. Traffic's great, but it's too much. But 40%, it was hitting 40% of it was coming from the back that wasn't going to the shopping center. It was going through that intersection just so they could get downtown or farther to the east. Blakey's very important because it's only going to get bigger out there. And yes, they'll come to the center and all that area and they'll go across the street to Home Depot at times. But a lot of times they're just trying to get to the school to get their kids.
Yep.
And it's right there. So disconnect is something that should have been, you know, when we did that whole street of Blakey, and at that time we tried to push through, but the folks behind us, they didn't want to go for it.
Right.
So at the time, this is 2007. So it stopped, and it's too bad because it could have got done a lot easier, a lot cheaper. But it will open things up, and with us widening the road, adding Wagon Wheel, we do the front, another turn lane in the front through the council and the business development code, or the BECD, whatever you guys call it, your business development. With all those three things being done, it's going to improve dramatically that intersection, which is an issue in your city. And then we'll get more people shopping and more retail and more jobs and the whole thing. So
Thank you
All
for
right.
your generosity.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Do you have a list of who's going to be in this subdivision or this development or?
Yeah, and I'll let you know. The first phase is going to be, I'll give you some names. Some of them they don't really want to talk about, and some of them I'm at a point where I'm just about there and I don't want to announce. But Sprouts Grocery is going to be our, it's PetSmart with a vet clinic in it is going to be our first 2 acres. And then we're going to build a Darden with a Longhorn Steakhouse. With any luck, I'll get Olive Garden on my other pad, and we'll have you some restaurants. And then the 2 small shop buildings in the front, we got a pizza place, we got like Aspen Dental, we got a bunch of the small ones that you typically had, and I'm trying to add as many food uses as possible because we don't have as many as we should in Burleson across the road, and it's, you guys are growing so much. We got to get that. That's something we've heard from the people saying that they need, they want, and the numbers make sense now. So we're also going to start Lot 8B building in front of. I just got the steel loose on Monday, and that's going to have Chipotle and another restaurant and an ice cream place and actually a Palm Beach. They're going to get tans. The gal's got another place to go. So we're trying to add services with that large a shopping center. It's hard not to duplicate, and we're trying not to. We're trying to find uses that, and you can do that with restaurants, so you guys have more options in the city.
I have a question, right? Because excuse me, sorry. With the size of it, the amount of occupants in there, I know there's going to be a lot of traffic. What efforts for pedestrian safety have been taken?
Well, that was one of the things we did through the B3 code before we got the variances for all that stuff, where we went and we wanted to do connecting. One of the things about a shopping center that we've learned is if you can get people go into a parking lot and they park and they just walk to the door and they don't care if you put sidewalks at certain spots. Like I got a shopping center we're building in 3rd phase in Georgetown, Cedar Breaks out on Williams Drive. And next to us is assisted living care. And I have a main drive through the middle of it, and we got some buildings in the front and then some big anchors in the back. And the city made me put a big rope all along the front of the major road. And the folks that are coming across that want to go to the rest of the shopping center, they want it where we have the driveway. Well, that's where the parking is. One of the things that you all let me do after having a lot of conversations is we got to connect the sidewalks to the shops and then to the front, and then funnel out, and then get in the main drives instead of being, well, there'll be a sidewalk along the freeway, but people just don't want to go up to the freeway, and they don't want to walk there. So what we've tried to do is if you're in Sprouts, there's a pathway that is not a straight shot, but as straight a shot as we can to get to the shops where the restaurants are. And we have it dedicated so that we don't want anybody getting run over. But most people just walk out of that store and they just beeline across the parking lot. We're trying to get away from that because that slows things down and it makes it unsafe. But instead of trying to force them to come out of the deal and take a right and then over here and then come on and follow it around, they don't do it. So what we tried to do is let's be common sense about it. Here's where they're going to be walking from. And remember, it's 100 degrees. They're only going to go a certain distance. So you have to set it up so you can make it easy. And that's what we did. And you guys don't have that yet, but the site, seeing the site plan, but that's what the site plan did. And that was something that we did when we did the PDD with the B, and we used some of the B3 code. We got a lot of variances in the B3 code, but it's crazy on a lot of stuff. But the bottom line is some of the stuff was good. So we tried to use it. I have probably too much of an answer, but.
I mean, no, that was great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have any other questions? We have one final question.
So with all these commercial facilities and obviously a lot of parking that is needed, what are you guys planning on for your drainage?
We have that all set. We have a pond. That's lot number 7, I think it is. That right next to Wagon Wheel up there. And then this thing also funnels in, a portion of it funnels underneath. We'd already put that in. The big pond in the Burleson Crossing, we have 22 acres. I mean, 6 acres, 22 feet deep. We actually pulled the water behind us. That was part of the deal when we did the project. That we took the 100 acres behind us too. And so this one, your watershed, a portion goes over to the culvert that's going in between Home Depot, and then a portion goes down the other, going to the east. And that pond is built for that. So it's 500 year. I mean, This one's 12, 14 feet deep, and I got to put a pump in it to make it work. So we do everything. When you drive through Burleson Crossing, you probably don't notice this, but a lot of thought is put into it. I don't like to have it where it runs to a certain spot and then runs down, because I see that when it really gets heavy water, you have problems with that. So what we try to do is we build it up. If you look at it, we put between 4 and 8 feet of fill on both those sites. And what you're trying to do is every drive that comes down, you're trying to invert and take the water and get it into the ground, into the storm sewer pipe, to the detention pond early. So you don't get that speed and a massive flow. And so that's what we're doing on Burleson Crossing too. It's a little more expensive, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna own these, and we've not sold anything in 30 some years, it lasts a lot longer and we don't have the issues. So, thank you.
Great question. Thank you. All
Make a
right.
motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we call for roll?
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Commissioner Moss and Commissioner Barrow.
Oh, thank
Do
you.
we need to say anything about Commissioner Bingaman being here? Did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir, Tardy.
No, it's no. I'm just
The
no, we're
pronunciation
not.
of your last name.
Yeah, you said it right. I'm kidding. I was just.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just for purposes of clarifying, the commissioner has entered the meeting and is eligible to vote on this item. Cool.
Right.
Thank you, President.
I'm learning.
Dude, you guys, with the traffic coming from the airport, we gotta do something coming east.
All right, Ms. Alondra, can we take roll, please?
Yes, Ishmael Harris,
Yes.
David Barrow,
Yes.
Gary Moss,
Yes.
Jordan Scott,
Yes.
Keith Alborn,
Yes.
Joshua Bingaman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, passes unanimous. All right, on to item 3D. Consider action to approve the vacation of the Colony Mud 1D Section 2 final plat being 28.673 acres out of the Jose Manuel Bang Survey, abstract number 5, located north of Sam Houston Drive within the extraterritorial jurisdiction of Bastrop, Texas, as shown in Exhibit A.
All right, so with this one, it is the Colony 1D, Section 2. The developer has requested to vacate this plat in order to start over. This item, as well as the next on the agenda, you will be seeing them as a new preliminary plat. The developer kind of wants a clean slate so they can redo this section. Any questions? It's very straightforward.
Anyone? All right.
I got a question. What's the reasoning for redoing it?
I believe they're wanting to change the lot configuration and lot count.
They're reducing them or increasing them
I
in
believe,
size?
reducing. So we have the applicant here as well. If you'll introduce yourself.
Hi, Charlotte Hodges with Carlson Bergensen Deering, representing the client for this plat. I'm not sure exactly if they're going to be reducing the lot count or increasing it. I believe the last I heard it was reducing, but basically when you first start a project like this years and years ago, you have an idea in mind and then the market changes and as the entire subdivision starts getting organized and developed, you start thinking of different ways to kind of meet those market requirements. And so that's really what we're doing here.
You?
Thank you. Anyone else?
I actually have a question about that. When will we know, or when will they know if it's an increase or decrease?
The preliminary plat will be coming before you next month.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So we'll find out then. I believe it's a overall slight decrease. They're kind of reconfiguring the lots essentially.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. These guys are on a roll. Y'all need to get those trigger fingers good. Huh? Get ready. They got their minds made up. All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Barrow and Commissioner Moss. Thank you.
Ishmael Harris.
Yes.
David Barrow,
Yes.
Gary Moss.
Yes.
Jordan Scott,
Yes.
Keith Alborn,
Yes.
Joshua Bingaman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, passes unanimous again. On to item 3. Consider action to approve the vacation of the Colony Mud 1D, Section 3, final plat being 25.419 acres out of the Jose Manuel Banks Survey, abstract number 5, located north of Sam Houston Drive within the extraterritorial jurisdiction of Bastrop, Texas, as shown in Exhibit A.
It's the same as the last, same deal?
Yeah, essentially that was, this is 3. They are taking these, vacating, combining them with more land.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Jump right on the
We
gun.
got a
I
motion
have
and a
one
second.
question though. There is one difference on this one, and this has 22 or 111 residential lots and 1 non-residential lot, and that's the difference between the previous one. What is that? Is that city services? Is
It's
it
most
some
likely a
sort of
drainage lot.
Drainage lots. Thank you.
Yeah, so what they'll be doing is they're taking these 2 plats, removing them and replatting it with the additional, like they'll have the non-residential lots on this one as well, on the new one as well. They are adding extra land, so it might look like an overall increase in lots when it comes to the 100 lots on each of these. But it's, because it's increase in land, but these 2 lots in specific are decreasing.
All right, thank you. Do we need to redo the motion? No?
I do believe we need a second though.
Yes, we need to.
We just need a second.
We didn't need a second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Gary seconded it.
And
I'll second it.
yes, he
Whatever.
said, he did.
Now,
Up
He
for it.
did. All right, so Commissioner Scott and Commissioner Moss. Can we call for roll, please?
Ishmael Harris.
Yes.
David Barrow.
Yes.
Gary Moss.
Yes.
Jordan Scott.
Yes.
Keith Alborn.
Yes.
And Joshua Bingaman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that one passes unanimous as well. All right, on to item 3F. Consider action to approve the Colony Mud, Section 2, final plat being 32.250 acres out of the Jose Manuel Banks Survey, abstract number 5, located southwest of Republic Drive within the extraterritorial jurisdiction of Bastrop, Texas, as shown in Exhibit A. Ms. Kennedy?
so this is another one for the colony. This is 1F, Section 2. Pardon me. This section calls for 3 residential lots, 6 non-residential, which will be the drainage, open space, easement lots, all of those. The plat proposes to extend Republic Drive that connects to Sam Houston Drive and will be the main connection point to this section of the colony, as it is the main connection point to a lot of the sections of the colony. Water and wastewater are provided by the mud. The stormwater generated in the western portion will be routed to a detention pond in the west, and the stormwater generated in the rest of the section will be routed through underground stormwater network that will flow to a pond in the east. And that is that for this plat. Any questions?
You may or may not be able to answer this because I'm just kind of curious. As the colony continues to grow and 969 continues to grow and it's still in the ETJ, when it does come online and we potentially annex this part, does that all go to the new wastewater treatment plant or what?
That I do not know. No. The answer from Ms. Livia is no.
It sticks with mud.
It will stick with their facilities.
She's coming up here.
Hello, Commission. No, they have existing facilities, and the whole purpose of the mud and the creation of the mud is they maintain those facilities. At the point that the mud debt is paid off, the annexation proceedings should start at each section.
One more and then.
All right, do we have any other questions? No? All right.
I'll
No
make a
question.
motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you catch who it is? All right. We can call for roll, please.
Ishmael Harris.
Yes.
David Barrow.
Yes.
Gary Moss.
Yes.
Jordan Scott.
Yes.
Keith Alborn.
Yes.
And Joshua Bingaman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. It passes unanimous. On to item 3G. Consider action to approve the Colony Mud 1F, Section 3, final plat being 51.850 acres out of the Jose Manuel Banks Survey, abstract number 5, located southwest of Drive within the extraterritorial jurisdiction of Bastrop, Texas, as shown in Exhibit A.
All right, just as the item previous, this is 1F Section 3, so it's right next to Section 2. This plat calls for 110 residential lots, 7 non-residential lots, drainage, open space, etc. Just as Section 2, this plat calls for a public drive to be the main access point. The development follows the same drainage pattern. Generated in the west flows to the rest flows to the pond to the east, and gets routed underground. Any questions?
Anyone?
There's a lot of unused space. Is that going to be platted in later, or is it just?
It's a part of
unused?
different sections, yeah. The colony has a lot of phases and sections.
All right, anyone else?
I'll make a motion then to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You know who that was? I bet you do.
Yes.
All right.
Ishmael Harris,
Yes.
David Barrow,
Yes.
Gary Moss.
Yes.
Jordan Scott,
Yes.
Keith Alborn,
Yes.
and Joshua Bingaman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Kennedy. All right, on to our adjournment portion. Item 4A, future development related items.
That's your Saturday school outline. August 17th, that's the day. Be here, be square. August 17th at 10. So after meeting with the board chair, we went through an outline of how best to present the information as we go through code rewrites. And as I've said before, the code rewrite always happens at the end. It's never at the beginning, because you have to understand the foundational stuff that would feed into what would cause a good or bad development code. Halfin Associates has already been engaged to take over the comprehensive plan, so they will be working on those things. And the comp plan has important growth information and policy statements, so we're going to be working in conjunction with. Everything that you guys talk about will be fed into the comp plan as well. We're going to start with transportation, since that seems to be the pinch point for everybody. And transportation will include multimodal connectivity. That includes sidewalks, that includes connection points where our plan overlays with the county's plan, where both of those plans overlay with the Capital Area Metro Campo plan, where the Development Code rodeos made comments, and how all of those things feed together. And we should have some very good dialogue about where those connection points with the purpose should be. You can't talk about streets without drainage, so we're going to talk a little bit about drainage as number 2. And that is really hoping to start working toward a regional approach, as opposed to all of these little small detention ponds that, you know, at the end of the day, when we talk about economic vitality, you lose a lot of ad valorem value on the ground when it's being used as an open detention pond. Not to mention treatment of water, et cetera. And then we go into water and wastewater, to your point of where are we growing, how are we growing, what is the point? And we do need to develop some policies, because the city's growing in multiple directions, and I've got push and pull at 71 all the way to Cedar Creek. One is to expand. I've got push and pull all the way down to 304. And so we'll need to prioritize some of those projects, and that will directly feed into the capital improvement plans that we develop in the future. And then we got to talk about parks. What are those exactions going to look like in the ordinance? Where do we want our parks to be? Are we going to focus on pocket parks? Are we going to start developing more regional parks? What do you want those exactions to be when a developer comes forward and has a plat? What should the city be asking for? And in all of these topics, the chair met with the DEI board on I don't even know what day it is.
It was yesterday.
On Wednesday. And the DEI board will put together some priority statement. Well, it's the Bridging Bastrop board, sorry.
Just the Bridging Bastrop board.
Yes, the B3 board. We'll put together some policy statements on each one of those points. And so, for example, one of the highlights that the board has been working on is veteran and ADA access. And so that obviously plays a role in the transportation on the multimodal piece. So based on the research we've done and all the work we've done, that will make its way into the plans. And the same thing for parks. The Parks Board has been discussing what it wants to do with tree protection and what we want our model ordinances to look like. And so those will all feed through. And from a Bridging Bastrop Board, all of those things have or can have a negative impact into lower income areas that make places less desirable to live. So we want to make sure that we minimize those impacts and we're fair across the board. So as we're talking about the master plans and we're talking about the codes, that ends up leading into development codes. That ends up leading staff. When the plat first comes in, what are we looking for? What are we asking for? How does it match all of our transportation, all of our master plans? How does it match? And if it doesn't match, why doesn't it match? And what are we going to do to make it match? Or if it doesn't match, is it even a viable project for us? Once we get past the plat, then we worry about the vertical stuff, right? We can now move to building and construction. Well, if you can't drain the lot or you don't have appropriate drainage, then is it a viable project? And so they're all interrelated. And I know that the code has significant pressure, but the code is over here. We've got like bigger stuff to work through. It's all going to feed its way into one another. And there is a method to the madness. I just ask you to hold on and be receptive. And that's the day.
Are we looking to discuss this over 3 months, 6 months, shorter time period, longer time period?
I think that's going to depend on you after our first meeting. You know, we talked about starting to meet every 2 weeks to move forward. So we'll see how the first meeting goes. We may be able to cover a tremendous amount of topics with you guys just giving policy statements on how you want us to work. Or you may want to dive into like a red line version of every single code. So I'd recommend we start with policy statements at the very beginning, because there's going to be time for the red line version, but I won't even know where to start if I don't know what the feeling is. The comprehensive plan that Halfin Associates has a lot of public engagement in it. And so we'll have public engagement at the comp plan, we'll have public engagement here. So the goal is to just keep continuing the dialogue. So.
All right.
I
Thank
have
you.
a question. With all this development we keep talking about, has there been any conversation with the state about changing 71 to 6 lanes?
Not 71. The primary focus right now has been 969.
You know, you travel even in midday to Austin, it's becoming a half-hour, 45-minute drive in good traffic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these developments we're talking about 2, 3, 5 years, that's going to be an easy hour ride.
And the bridges, you know, allegedly 71 from Austin to Houston is supposed to be one nonstop. They're not due to be completed till 2030. So we've got some pain yet to happen. And for example, the Valverde that you guys approved a while back, I think we got their building permits in for the first section, which is duplexes. It's a $40 million project that'll start. The Pearl River projects are continuing. Those apartments are finishing up. Reed Ranch next to Burleson East has kind of put the slow down a little bit because we need to get Blakey in. But when Valverde pays their transportation impact fee, that begins to bridge the gap that we need to finish Blakey. And so you'll start seeing things hopefully have some alleviation of traffic because we'll have the necessary funds, because the developers have to pay into the new roadway impact fee.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, thank you. All right, on to item 4B, Development Service Department Monthly Project Volume Report. Hello, Doc. How are you doing, sir?
Basically, tonight you have May in front of you and June. You see the numbers for overall activity and building was 150 for the month of May. For planning side was 21. Skip it over to the back side for June is you have total of 115 for building inspection, 36 for planning. Probably just some quick highlights, and I promise I'll do a better job of giving some more specific details so y'all can see what the true development Sylvia was touching on. Some of them is, it's a small, interesting one. You see from the hail damage in the month of June, we had 43 roofs to deal with. The big ticket items, just so y'all kind of familiar with going, we had a little volcano sushi in Burleson Crossing East. That was a tenant finish out. So there's a new sushi bar was issued a CO on at 717 West, which is Burleson Crossing West there in front of Academy. Byler Dental, which is an existing dental office, is doing a brand new building in the Bastrop Grove there, parallel to 304. Sorry, thank you. Where was that? So Byler Dental, Bastrop Middle School on Old Austin Highway, we've been working with them. A lot of school projects we're working on with school starting and schools for new schools. Aqua Water on Old Austin Highway is doing a new office building up front. Home 2 Suites, as we speak, that's going to be located right there by Taco Cabana. They're pouring concrete tonight for a new 114-room hotel. So that's kind of the bigger projects, unless there's a specific question on a thing y'all seen growth going on or any concerns.
I'm sorry, where did you say that hotel was again?
So we had several hotels going up. One's almost finished. You can see back off by Walmart. This new one, they're pouring the concrete tonight, actually. Just behind Taco Cabana, there was a development that's along 304 called West Bastrop Grove. Down 304 is Byler Dental. This is right there behind Taco Cabana, and it's going to be a Home 2 Suites with 114 rooms. So a lot of growth fixing to happen, and y'all saw what you approved tonight is all new now, commercial permits coming in with Steve and stuff, so.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, James. All right, on to item 4C, individual requests from planning and zoning commissioners, that particular items to be listed on future agendas. Does anyone have anything? All right, so I have one thing. Were you going to say something? Okay. All right, so I know you all remember when we had our meeting with all the other boards and commissioners or commissions at the convention center, and how much we all worked well, or we have an impact on each other. So we're talking with Sylvia, and I think Commissioner Moss had mentioned it before too, but I would like for each one of us to pick a board or commission to work with alongside of one of the council members, just to help bring back some input, some insight from their area or their group. So if everyone is willing, that would be really great. And I guess, we can all, I don't know if everyone has one in mind. I know Commissioner Moss and Commissioner Alborn are super excited about getting into another one, but no, I'm not going to ask those guys. They have plenty. So if anyone has any interest, I'm going to get with Ms. Kennedy so she can email everyone those groups, and that way we'll know who is willing to get in them and or who has one taken up. All right. So
Do you know what groups now have a need for somebody?
Right. So that's what we're gonna.
It'll be pretty much every board. And
Pretty much
commission.
every board.
From that meeting with everybody, it's like every single board has some kind of relationship with PNC.
I got a question, if you don't mind. On the, on the Historic Land Board Commission, I'm on that because you have to have somebody on this board, on that board. Are we gonna do that with all the rest of them, or is it gonna be just a liaison?
It'll be more not so strict as you will not be a member on their board, whereas you are a member on HLC, because that's required per HLC guidelines. It'll be more of like a liaison relationship.
Right, and it'll also help with having one of us in there with a council member as well, right, to help strengthen our relationship. So.
In the email, could you maybe put down a few points or whatever, or suggestions on what we should talk about, and I guess what our communication should look like?
Sure.
So we could make sure that we're communicating effectively and like have a goal in mind of, hey, we want to make sure we talk about these, or we're on the same page about X, Y, Z, stuff like that.
Well, some of the items would be something like, for the Parks and Recreation Department,
Right,
to communicate,
right.
what we know from our
From
discussion.
that, right? And
Out to them,
it may not even be something every meeting that we have or they have that might need to be brought to our attention, but also if it's something that is brought up, and it's a concern, then, whoever is in that area, they can bring up that concern and allow us to have that discussion.
Are the rest of the boards and commissions, do they meet on a regular basis, like once a month, once every 2 weeks?
I don't know the schedule of the rest of the boards, but I know they have, I believe that most of them have set schedules, like they meet the first Wednesday of the month
Right.
or the last Thursday or whatever.
So I don't want to put a lot on you, but yeah.
Yeah,
But
to have
if
that.
we can get the schedule, that probably will help people be able to determine,
So we can pick it,
right?
what we could do,
Mhm.
time-wise.
And then, at our next meeting or even, throughout the next month, maybe communication with you, they can let you know where they're at, maybe a first and second option,
Kind of give like top three and then we
right?
kind of go from there.
Yeah. So that's all that I have. Anyone else?
I got one more thing. Motion to adjourn.
Look at you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
That goes to Commissioner Scott. He was a little faster. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank y'all. Have a good night, Bastrop.